We will call this August 7th Brown County Commission into order.
Commissioner Kipley, would you lead us to the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First item on our agenda, we have the bid opening for the court-appointed attorneys.
How many do we get?
24.
Before you want me to read the legal at all? I think it's just the one.
I don't really need to do it.
Okay.
The proposal was sent out, everybody's going to have a copy of it, and they need
Just that one? I'll just hand it out and you can decide what you're going to read. It's just one copy for each, correct?
Correct.
Are you-
Original 7 copies like the RFP
You
said,
get-
so.
Good. Oh, okay. Did you get one?
No, I didn't. That one for me, I'll take it. The top one with the original signature.
Do we have to take a few minutes to do it, or? Huh?
Read it and find out what it is. Nine of them. There's your 3 pages.
Huh?
Probably that paragraph and everything
Huh?
You know, it's gonna take us a while to read this.
Yep.
I think we can just,
Can we table it till next week or not, Chris?
do that.
Well, I think you can, I don't know how fast you want to move on it though.
I know, that's what I'm wondering.
I know Max, for budgetary purposes, we had a,
Well, I got the budget here, I want to look at what all the expenses
if
were.
you guys want to move on, I can read it and then we can chat about it.
Did you do that?
Basically, is page 4 on is just examples. Am I looking at that right?
The exhibits
Chris?
are comparisons to other counties that
That's
have.
from
the
page
public
4 on.
office. Yeah,
Basically, okay.
well,
So-
yeah.
Basically, I think the thing we'd be interested in noting is the 9 attorneys that we're looking at that are on the front page, correct?
Yep.
And then the other thing that would probably be on page 3, what the proposal is. There isn't any variances as far as, that's a 2-year,
Correct.
okay? So I guess that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're,
Well, yeah, then it kind of, if I want to look and see what all these other expenses are, then what, all that adds up into it.
Just on that proposed annual payment, those additional expenses that are listed there that would be separate, that comes from the prior contracts that the county has had. I think...
They're not in addition to this one, this 600 here.
Yeah, they would. That's like cost of defense are in addition to, and there's different line
That
items
should
for
be up
that.
there about 800 anyway.
Well, that's in there now.
Open to cut it.
That's my spending.
I think we just need to have Chris.
We need to have Chris review it.
Look it over
Yeah.
just to see.
he's got,
Yeah,
how
that's
next week,
right.
you know,
Contract.
Well,
next week, be all right, next Tuesday,
Well,
the budget.
Or if he can even read it during the meeting here.
yeah, we're gonna be around here a while.
we could
And
talk
if not,
about,
we can defer it till next week.
Well, you gotta realize too, that you still have to enter into the contract with the group, and so if you're accepting it, you're accepting kind of what their proposal is, but we still gotta enter into that contract. So if something changes after you say, I think we're gonna go with it, obviously, until the contract's signed, there's no contract. But I'll look through it if you want me to,
Yeah.
we can move on.
I thought it was this one.
Okay.
See what we're talking about. Yeah.
looking at professional.
We'll defer that until Chris has a chance to review it with the attorneys and get back to it a little later. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so what's your next thing?
8:50, we have to discuss the SDPAA board appointments. I guess the question came up is that we have a former commissioner that sits on the board, and the question was, should we have a current commissioner appointed, or do we leave former Commissioner Weiss on? I guess my question would be is, if we appoint, that doesn't mean necessarily that our appointment makes him actually retain the job. Doesn't the actual board of the SDPPA have to approve that also? I mean, our appointment doesn't necessarily guarantee him that spot, does it?
I think it has to go through their board, but yeah,
Right,
we...
their board would determine that.
But we're appointing him to that board,
Yeah.
so...
Like we do that
Yeah.
with others too,
Yeah.
you know, we appoint non-board members for...
Why is it Brown County gets that? Is it top 3 population-wise, or why are we doing it and not other counties?
As far as representation...
Yeah.
It was, Mike has been on there since its inception, and when Public Assurance Alliance broke away from Hagen Benefits and went out on their own, you know, that's when they set everything up and created their own bylaws and kind of became self-insured. So he's kind of the county's representative, not Brown counties, but represents counties on that board. You know, there's other county people, I believe Bob Wilcox sits on the board also. Municipalities have representation, so it's a diverse board of directors. And I guess I'm perfectly okay with leaving Mike there because he asked to be reappointed. They're working on several new programs that he has been working on, and would just like to see those through until they're, you know, come to fruition. And I think he's done a good job of representing counties on the board, and unless there's major objection, I think he's done a good job for counties. You know, and looking back at my term as president of South Dakota Counties, you know, we have a good working relationship with the Public Assurance Alliance. We always get good reports. We meet with them during the convention, so it's working well for everyone, I feel.
And I think they want his expertise in these next few years at least. They're asking for it because he's very involved with it. It's something he's really got.
Dennis, you had something?
I want to address the board if I can. See how this works. You know, I guess I was under the impression that in order to serve on that alliance, you had to be a county commissioner, and I was wrong. You know, but being a past legislator and a past county commissioner and a candidate for the Brown County Commission, I guess I'd be interested in serving on that board too, and I'd ask to be a candidate. So if they get down to the election, then we'd have 2 candidates for the Alliance Board to look at. And so I just would ask that my name be submitted as well.
And your expertise in that would be what, Dennis?
Just experience through life, through liability, my own liability insurance, and the only way that you're going to get experience is by serving on those boards. You couldn't possibly, you know, just go on the board and just instantly be up to speed, and sometimes having some new blood on those boards actually helps. Kind of brings out some questions and that type of thing, so.
Well, you talk about experience on a board. I served on the Missouri Valley Insurance Board for about 15 years.
Yeah.
Just got off.
Are you throwing your hat in too?
No, I don't want it.
But anyway, I just, you know, I noticed the article in the paper last Wednesday, and I did some searching, looking, and actually printed off. And the other thing that, I don't know if there's a specific resolution that, according to the bylaws, there has to be a resolution that goes along with that appointment, and I don't know if,
From us.
Right.
if that's a part of it or not. But anyway, just thought...
It is, we have a...
It was done in 2015 that
Okay.
way.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, I'd like to be considered, and
I don't know.
So this resolution doesn't say what the, what is the term? How many years?
I think it's 3 years.
It is 3 years.
It was 16, 17, and 18, and it's coming up this year.
Ideally, it would be nice to put Mike on for the next 6 months, see what happens at the election, and then we should have a conversation
I'd say,
again.
to keep this from being political, I think, can we put it off till after the election?
that would be my suggestion right there.
is your tipping.
Absolutely.
Is there a time frame it has to be done?
I don't believe so.
I think we should too. I mean,
So if Mike is asking us to reappoint him, is his term done on a certain date, or when he went on his 3 years, is that what we're up against?
I believe it's the end of the year, but I can't say that specifically. I would have to check.
so I'm not sure either. But I think if you read the bylaws, I think that kind of refers to that.
Yeah, and I don't have a copy of those, but that makes sense.
Seated on the Board of Directors January 1st, 2019.
Right.
January
Okay.
1st.
What a motion be appropriate to
I think after November 6th, until, you've got a new commission coming in on November 6th, possibly, and I guess that would probably, it has to be done by January 1st of 2019, so we'd have time. in
So
that
you have time
frame.
to still look at it?
So we could defer it until November, we got our meeting, it'll be November 13th, which could be decided, because the 6th is the election, the 13th, we kind of know where we're at.
Yep.
So we should defer till November 13th, 2018. Would I entertain a motion for that?
I would move that.
I'll second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Fishback, to defer the appointment of the SDPAA board appointments until November 13th to make a decision. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay,
Thank you.
for clarification, that's just submitting your nomination, right?
Appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you for your
Thanks,
time.
Dennis. You bet.
Appreciate it.
Okay. If I take this number, where's the action collected? Take it and divide by 7.
I read that.
Is it 23rd? That'd be the full year.
I should know that.
7.5% would
You
be
thought in
raised.
favor?
Are you sure you're not a candidate too?
Using
You might like
$77.
it.
I do have
Five, that'd be
Yeah, you do.
between 7.5% and 8%. That's just rough in my
That
head.
would be your,
Yeah, I'll throw my hat.
Next item on our agenda, we would have the,
Yeah.
discuss
And-
new building authorization for chair to sign the closing paperwork on August 10th at the state's attorney's office. That would be signing the actual contract and not the purchase agreement. That was the only thing that was signed before, so.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Sutton, to authorize the chair to sign the contract for the purchase of the building. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At 9 o'clock, we can discuss budget. I don't know, I think Chris is probably still reviewing, isn't he? So we'll wait till they come back in.
I don't think that's gonna solve our budget.
Well.
Let's start talking options.
Do you want me to go through my list?
Yeah, why don't we do that until then?
Minutes from the joint city county meeting. And I took that bill through. I finally got my
The
final...
queen will call everybody out.
Here, let me grab the can for you.
Would you grant, oh, I need change? No.
Throw a 20 in for the next 3.
Yeah. After 24 years, I finally get it. I need change. For the scholarship, I don't need change. I don't need change.
I can break
It goes to the, I'll pay for those 2 guys who have not paid us.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. At least I remember to take my bill.
Minutes from the joint city, county, and general from July 31st.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Hanson, to approve the joint city-county general meeting, July 31st. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll take that to Pier tomorrow. We've got our board meeting, so I'll make sure Chris
Thank you.
gets it.
Everyone sees that, no? Thank
Just
you.
get your lunch.
Thank
Got
you
it,
very
my
much.
witness.
Thank you.
I'll bring us a receipt so we know.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling, to approve claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The HR report with the amendment of adding the temporary fair workers. Move it.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Kipling, to approve the HR report with the amended to add the temporary workers for the fair. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Evidently, some of the contracts sent out for judges for the fair activities the amount was incorrect, and there was a list of names in the packet where the judges should have been offered $40 rather than $30 for their services.
Move the amendment.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Sutton, to amend the amounts of the
I
contract.
judge you should have to pay.
Fair judges?
All
in
at the
favor?
pallet judges. Aye.
Aye.
The township bond, this is the last one to come in for Groton Township. Second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Hanson, to approve a township bond with Groveland Township. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There was a lease option renewal addendum presented by Bullet Sports for the car racing track for 2019.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling, to approve the lease option renewal for car races for World Sports, and that's three-year, one-year renewal each time, isn't that what it was?
I think so, and I think
Yep.
this is the final year.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
19 would be the final year.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, fair contracts.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback, to approve the fair contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all I have on my list.
Do you want to discuss the budget, or can we go into 9:05 and do the liquor license event? Can I skip an event?
There's a card right there. I think we can.
We'll discuss our budget a little later. Gary, do you have anything to?
No, I just, did you all get to see the thank you from Spink County to the
Yeah.
sheriff?
Yes, that was very nice.
Good deal, I just wanted to mention that, so otherwise I'm good.
And things for next Monday with Centennial Village as far as a picnic?
Yep, we're all good there.
All good?
It's ready to go.
Okay.
They're delivering at 4:30, they said.
Okay. And I'm doing plates, napkins, silverware, that kind of stuff.
And I'm just supposed to pick them up at your...
I'll make sure they're at the restaurant.
Okay. Next item, we're going to review the application for the temporary retail on license for the special event on August 15th. I would entertain a motion to table that due to the lack of the appropriate paperwork being filed indefinitely. I would entertain that
Move it.
motion.
Second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Sutton, to table that.
In the motion, I wouldn't put indefinitely, just table it in case
Just
something
table
comes
it?
up next Tuesday, but probably not.
So we'll amend that to just table
Just
it.
table it, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I believe we can work on discuss our budget.
Do you want to start with revenue? And go through the...
So is, on revenue, the first page, actual cash balance as of May 31st, is that solid waste 5.7, is that what's in the landfill fund?
As, that was the cash as of May 30th.
And about,
Where were you at?
Where's that
the
number?
very first, second revenue
Second
page.
white page, the, yeah, the
And how much,
estimated cash.
yeah, estimated,
You see that?
right here on the
Oh, down
bottom.
at the bottom.
I'm just trying to,
Okay,
in my
okay.
mind,
Yep.
I don't mind taking some from the landfill, I just know, I'm wondering how much that grows per year.
Yeah, what was it, what
Because
was
if
in
we
there a
were
year
to
ago?
take 2 or 3 million out of there, it's gonna be gone next year. So we're not really
What was in it last year?
solving
this
the
time?
problem.
You have that
Well, the
number?
estimated revenue from June 1st through the end of the year is 1.3 million. So that, take that annual,
You're talking the next column?
yeah, the second column, estimated revenue in the solid waste is 1,389. And that's
And then you
June through December.
7 more.
So
And
you
then
got
the
7
next
months.
column is your expenses.
Right.
Your estimated expenses. for
Should be
the balance of the
3.5
year.
million left in there at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah, 3.5.
And then next year, we should gain about another 1.7 million,
Yeah.
just rough math. Maybe that's accurate, I'd have to look back to estimated revenue for 19.
So am I reading that right, that your estimated expenditures are gonna eat up your estimated revenue, plus take another
Right.
million and a
Because
half
of
out
cell
of,
three.
because of the cell?
That's
yeah.
because of the sale.
So we're not getting anything, we're losing some.
Just for that year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, after that, you still, then you start gaining again.
Unless we can make some of that up,
Up it?
Yep.
fee a little bit.
And that, yeah.
That first page.
One place we can adjust our income.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only income we have.
Can we bounce back to our bid on the court-appointed attorneys, and we'll look at discussion budget a little further down the line? Chris, has he had a chance to, your thoughts?
It's what we expected as far as all the terms. I mean, really, you're just looking at the number now to decide if that's the number that you want to go with. I think it meets all of the requirements in the RFP, so. If you have questions, I can try to answer them, or Chris can try to answer them. Yeah, so the number was 600,000.
So as we look at that approximate savings to the county, are we looking at this first time out approximately a couple $100,000 maybe?
Well, I think, Tom, you had mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago that you had budgeted for 800 this year, and then we looked at the budget from, I believe it was 17, that was 766,000. So if you look at it that way, yeah, it'd be a cost savings. This is a 2-year, it would be a 2-year contract that the county would enter into with this group, at 600,000 each year.
And we've budgeted 675 for next year already. And so
Well, you've got to...
This is what we had
You
this year.
got the other expenses there, so.
Yeah, we got...
Right, but I'm just looking at the court-appointed 675. Our
No, that's
contract-
not strictly court-appointed.
Well, that line item is 675, right.
Right, and that includes other things, the pool, and so 600,000 plus 90,000 for A&Ms. So basically, for those two line items, the 2019 budget was down for 690,000.
And Max, that doesn't include mileage reimbursement or any of those type of expenses?
Which one?
Mileage reimbursement or other
No,
type of...
No, not the 600, that's under, that's all under supplies and materials.
So this
And if-
600
Here.
does not include that item.
I think
So there'd
that's
still
what we
be-
can
Paying mileage on top
Where
of
you're looking at all the expenses.
Yeah, if you look at page 3.
A&M is not
first
in there.
paragraph.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm just saying, that's what we
So
budgeted.
they're looking about
already.
75,000 in expenses is the way I look at, other than what they figured for their...
It's hard to know, but...
Yeah. And since that's on the cases, then the,
Yeah.
It's our choice to either take this or go with the unknown and gamble.
Number 8.
This looks like it's a little savings over what we've been doing.
if you're working with us, that might help, so that's good. It's the unexpected expenditures that might grab you.
The trend has been lately to hire a lot of private investigators, and that is very expensive.
Maybe we could put a limit on, because if somehow we can control that in any way,
Court controls private investigators or any other court-appointed cause.
back to the court again.
The judge would need to decide if it's a case that the investigator would be needed or not.
And retaliation. It's all an unknown.
Yeah.
And the stuff not covered, you'll see in the bottom of the first paragraph on 3.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
I read that I marked it off and I glanced through it and I thought,
Which is the same thing we're up against now.
yeah, it's all the unknowns
Right.
right there.
And if we go with the public defender's office, we're gonna have a lot of unknowns.
274 roughly, plus another...
And I don't know that that would change much on the
47,000
expenses
That's what
for a public defender compared to...
230.
You'd still have those expenses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly
Yeah.
right, yep.
Well, you gotta think too, travel's really to the penitentiary to meet with the habeas client
Okay,
and some other type of travel, but the main travel would be to go to Sioux Falls. Now, they only get mileage, they don't get $94 an hour to travel each hour they're going.
Just get some mileage
That's
expenses.
just-
But that's all by state.
600.
Then they go by state mileage.
No,
Or
that's
federal?
by Jeff's policy, what they do is you get paid an hour miles to travel, but you get no hourly rate
That's
for traveling.
separate.
So
Okay,
it's kind
so
of a trade-off, but that's UJS
So
policy.
you're just looking at the one line item
But
there,
that's-
120.
Yeah, when we review the clerk cases, it's always $1 a mile for travel.
So then that'd be a cost savings for...
And I don't know if you necessarily need to say if you're accepting it or not, because you still gotta enter into the contract. So I think if you wanna go through that paperwork, you can discuss it yet today, do whatever you want, but if you end up approving it, then I can start working with, presumably Chris, to get that contract hammered out as soon as possible. Obviously, it wouldn't go in effect.
I think we should
until
mull it
the
over a
first
week.
year.
Yeah, I think so.
If we take a week to read these papers, is that still gonna be sufficient for you think? For that budget, she thinks so?
If Max is okay, because I know she has to publish a budget,
Mhm.
I don't know if this is gonna change anything, because your budget's already...
600.
Yeah.
Next week is the deadline, I have to send it to the papers,
But the
well...
budget won't change much either
So,
way.
and all I need to publish is the notice of the public hearing, which is held the first Tuesday in September on the budget. So they can make changes that first Tuesday in September if need be. But it's better if you know going in what you're planning to do.
I guess I'd make a motion to table this till next Tuesday then.
I'd second that.
We have a motion from Kempley, a second
Thank
from
you.
Hanson.
It's a good
to
offer, thank you.
Table the, contract attorney proposal till August
14.
the 14th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Take it up on the 14th to make the decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. We are now back to our budget.
Just won't go away, will it?
What else can we
Our
talk
projected
about, right?
Right now, what we're currently at is about $675,000.
690.
690 is what we're gonna spend for 2018 year.
Oh, 18. But for the 19 budget, you've got 690 in there.
We're gonna come up that we're gonna be up to 800,000 this year.
Mine shows 675. Did we get a new sheet? I'm sorry.
That was too easy.
But see, Dwayne, on the cheat sheet,
I'm just going by that line item, that
A
plus
lot easier to go.
That-
abuse and neglect.
okay, but the cheat sheet has the total. That includes your 46,000 to pay clerk.
Okay.
Yeah, all we're talking about is the line item. If you look at page 8 of your department budget, that gives you the line item.
Okay.
So,
So the contract proposal came in pretty much at what we're at right now.
At least it'd be a hole instead of going up.
That's where I'm confused. I thought we were heading for almost $800,000 in court appointed for 2018.
you're at, we're in May, where'd it go? The end of June, you were at, I just added 45%.
You gotta
We're
think,
court appointed, right now we're at 57.
seems to me a lot more come in at the end than
They do.
at the front end.
Right, yeah.
So in 1 month we added, what do you say, 40? In 1 month we added 17%. And in 17 we spent over 750,000.
No, 662 plus your court appointed.
No,
I mean, your,
court-
okay, 662, 275, this is 2017 expenditures.
Yep.
For the court-appointed attorney, the 662, 275, plus your 104, 827, 17 for the A&Ns.
Okay, but on that page 8, in the book, you show amount expended of 757,000.
You can't look at the total budget because clerk comes out of that budget. Their expenses come out of there. You have to look at just the court-appointed line item.
Okay, but what I'm saying is the catastrophic pool showed expended actually 37,000, well, rounding, and we budgeted 35 for this year. So that's got to be pretty much of a comparison. So when I come down, I'm still at, about 100,000 more somewhere in these expenses. See this number,
But your clerk has
That's
nothing to
right.
do
that's,
with...
well, either way, it balances out, it evens out. We're still having, either way, whatever, it's there.
Okay.
So, we're at 57%. I don't know.
Are you asking where we're lowering it, that
Yeah,
100,000?
I don't see how we're lowering it at anything.
Well, we've already budgeted it 600,000, exactly what the proposal
Yeah.
is. So it'll be
No,
600
you have
plus.
budgeted an
expenses.
additional 90,000 for
690.
A&Ns.
I understand that. I'm
The
just-
A&Ns on it.
I'm just going by the court-appointed attorney.
No, but the court-appointed attorney bid, the 600,000, covers the...
Covers the A&Ns.
But we also have a budget here for it, for A&M.
And just so everyone knows, the 90,000 may have been low because the year previous was over 100,000.
Yeah, it was 108. That's what, it's a
And
whole different sheet.
A&Ns have only gone up.
Yes.
And with drugs, they'll continue
So that
to.
90,000 would pay for quite a few miles and things like that.
Didn't we supplement that by close to 300,000 last year, or was it more than that, at the end of last year? Was it closer to 4? I can't remember.
It was, Gail was
That was
4, yeah, it was 3.
Closer to 3. So whatever we budgeted last year, we had to do a budget supplement of close to 300,000 last year.
Right, to get up to the 662.
Right. For court-appointed, that area.
Right.
So, there's nothing to cut from there, that's the way I'm saying.
Our
90,000.
What's that?
90,000,
If you accept the 600, this
If we
this bid,
accept that.
if you
then you're
accept the
gonna save
contract.
roughly 90,000 out of
The
your, what's
90,000.
proposed, your proposed budget.
But I think we have to allow something for those, the travel and everything that,
The
just to make
expenses
sure
are
there's
still
a,
gonna be there.
Or do
Just
we
to
already
make
have
sure
that?
there's a
Did we already
cushion.
have that
They
budgeted
still
somewhere?
get-
She's saying that's already budgeted elsewhere. We have the travel
I just
somewhere
want to
else.
make sure it is, because I don't,
Under,
They still
where
can
was
pay
that
the
under?
expenses the way it works now, and I don't know where it's budgeted.
Where the...
I don't-
It
where
depends
the
how they put their
investigators come on.
documentation in. If they've got it included,
See, I don't see a line item or anything showing any extra expenses in here, and that's what's bothering me.
that's my concern. Do
Yeah,
we just leave
okay.
it, the way it is? That way we've got a
It's standard,
$90,000
that's the way I
cushion.
look at it.
Because
Well, that's what
last
I
year
was
we had to
thinking, that
supplement
That
300,000.
90,000 is gonna pay for a lot of
Yep.
their
Yeah.
mileage investigators,
Just-
and that kind of, where's that come out of?
That's-
We don't know, that's what we're trying to figure out. Earlier, she said supplies and materials, but that's only $900.
And that's, yeah,
So that doesn't cover
and
it.
A&N has its own budget, so I think just leave it
I
and
think
look
that, I think that
elsewhere.
90,000 will pay the rest of
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah.
And
We still got a couple hundred, at least $100,000 savings over this year, I think.
Yeah, but the abuse and neglect, she's taking that 90 because it's included in the 6 over on court appointed.
Yep.
All she's doing is moving that from one.
Yeah, it's just a chuckle.
And we can use that as a cushion to pay for
We
the
need
travel and other expenses.
Because you're gonna still have
And
those
hopefully,
expenses.
exactly, and hopefully not have to supplement
And I-
300,000 next
We
year.
should find out where the investigators come from.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's got to be someplace, and it doesn't seem to be in here.
And expert fees and all of that.
I think they ought to be separate listed somewhere along the line in the documentation.
In my budget,
So we have some control.
in my budget is under professional fees.
Yeah.
And there's only 25,000 in professional fees.
I would like to see
Under
something
the
like that,
court appointed.
a line
That's
item.
where it comes from.
Yeah.
So that,
The
like,
the
it's just
experts
putting a
and
line item
and
for
the,
that, so we have a more
the
accurate amount
investigators, I bet, come from that.
to work
It's only
with.
25, but we've been running
Or not we,
historically
you.
more than
That's
that.
your-
Well, that's kind of the unknown, what are the expenses going to end up being?
Right. That's a separate line item, so. I'm just trying to get away from having to supplement the budget by 300,000 next year.
Yep,
Because we'll probably have to do the same thing this year based on our expenditures.
I know it'd be a lot more work for us to set up a public defender office. Do you think that 590 that they're quoting in their quote is accurate? Or do you think we could get a little bit under that?
I think we get a little bit under that.
That would be another whole department that
Yeah,
we could have to
like I
take
said, I know
on.
there's a lot in that, computers and people and
And
hiring.
I've been a proponent of the public defender's office, but
I mean, if you just want to do it off the top of your head, you think about, you got to figure out how many people they would need. The national standard, and I heard all of this from the public defender that runs the budget, Minnie. The national standard is 150 felony cases per year per felony attorney at a public defender's office.
wow.
And then 400 misdemeanor cases per year per misdemeanor attorney. Well, we had 691 court appointments in 2017.
Total.
Yep, and I don't know what the breakdown is
Sure.
felony misdemeanor, I'm just guessing it's a third felonies. So one misdemeanor attorney would be at the public defender's office that'd handle 400, and you'd be meeting the national standard that most people can't meet. So that'd be being generous. And then you'd have a lead public defender, obviously, and then one other felony attorney, and that would cover all the cases. So you'd have 3 attorneys, and then the guy also told me the national standard is 2 legal assistants for every 4 attorneys. So let's just give them the benefit of the doubt for numbers purposes and give them 2 legal assistants, so you have 5 staff people. Are you writing these down, Rachel?
I am.
And then let's just shoot high to be safe, because I don't think you're going to find anybody at 80,000. I think the only person that takes that is the state's attorney. Let's say 100,000 for lead public defender, and just again shooting high, say 80 for the felony guy or gal, and then let's say 65 for the misdemeanor person. And then again, this is probably high, but let's just say 45 for each legal assistant.
Sure.
So that's just salaries now. I don't know what you do, 5% probably for retirement? What's that all come up to?
6% for retirement.
So I figure even if it's 5% for retirement, 2 year withholdings too, if you got another...
Yeah, another 20%.
Yeah,
on
another
top.
20 on top.
Whatever your wages at, 20 for
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah,
Rounded,
about
rounded.
20.
They rounded it up.
Yep, it's always 15 to 20 for benefits, depending on their salary.
20 is an easy number to figure, so.
That's easier figure. Fifth of it is...
So
This is a lot
335
cleaner and
salary,
simpler.
Is that,
335 without the benefits.
okay, throw the benefits.
So if you throw the benefits in,
And my thing is, I
100,000.
think one of your other issues
Okay.
you're gonna have, just like a lot of offices, when you're in the public defender
Plus you can sell that building.
revolving door, you're gonna have people that come in, get a few years experience, move on to private practice, and so that'll be a continual.
What'd you find
Better
better?
than I said, did you?
No way.
I says, plus you can sell that building.
Haven't bought it yet.
The expenses other than investigators, travel, or, all went into the court-appointed line item for, under the, in 17. Okay, the expenditures for those miscellaneous office expenses in 2013 was $2,000. In 14, it was $1,400. In 15, it was $2,600. And, so I had 1,000 for this year, and I lowered it to 900 projected for 19.
yeah.
And those miscellaneous costs are the mileage and so on that we've been talking about.
I don't think they get mileage, I mean,
The investigate,
no, not the
Not the-
investigator.
that goes where?
Professional fees.
Okay,
That's why
okay.
that professional fees is 25,000.
And that was for the investigators. It's, they acknowledge.
They hire investigator, private investigators.
When they send their bill to be reimbursed or whatever, do they have...
They don't
separated?
itemize.
So how do you, so that could really be higher, is what you're saying? The investigator's fee.
Not the investigator, leave the investigator out, because that's paid separate under professional fees.
And they don't bill that out, when they hire one, they don't bill it, they are billed, so they're broke out, so you know.
Right, because usually the investigator bills a separate, you see that Mitch Vilhauer
Yeah.
on the claims?
You cut the check right to the investigator.
Right.
The attorney
Okay, so it's
doesn't
easy
bill
to track, okay.
Okay,
Right.
that's what I was...
Okay.
And that's
Right.
line 422 on number 8.
Right.
$25,000
Right.
for investigators.
And it depends on the attorney. Some of them will track every envelope, every phone call. Others don't track anything. So there's no way of knowing, you know, but back in 13, 14, and 15, the only outside expenses was the 2,000, the 1,400, and the 2,600.
I mean, if you look at the proposed annual payment on page 3, it doesn't exclude paper and envelopes,
Yeah.
those type of things, because they should be covering
Right.
that at their office expense.
Right.
It just includes the necessary travel, which would just be mileage,
Right.
potential lodging expenses, which I can't imagine
No.
happens very often. Long distance or collect telephone calls, a lot of that'll be calls from the jail.
Right.
Service of process, so if they have the sheriff's office serve somebody with a subpoena, it's, you know, $10. Witness fees, to have them come to court, which is, I think, $15 a day. Copying costs, so I suppose they could charge for copying. Expert witness fees, which I presume goes into professional fees.
Right.
And then investigative service, which is in professional fees. Deposition is not really a thing I've ever seen in a criminal case in my 6 years. Transcripts, that happens quite often, where the defense attorney would order a transcript from the court or whatever,
And that would be under professional fees also.
because the court reporters had set up and charged.
Right.
And then cost of medical and psychiatric evaluations. If that would be a competency evaluation, those are usually reimbursed at $1,500 from the new pool. The new pool, yeah.
Yeah.
So the cost, I don't think would be too high, the extra expense.
Okay. I feel more
I think if
comfortable
we
with
just
that.
leave it where it's at, we've got a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah.
And with any luck at all, we won't have to supplement the budget at the end of the year like we did last year.
And real quick update on that new pool for competency evaluation. I don't know if you talked to Bob Wilcox.
Well, tomorrow.
Okay, he's gonna tell you that we didn't even come close to hitting what they had budgeted for the year, all the counties combined. I originally thought they didn't budget enough and that it was gonna hurt the counties in the long run. We have plenty of money, the leftover money from last year carries over to next year too. So I think as long as we're submitting the competency, and we haven't had any recently.
We had one the first time frame and one the second time frame.
In the second time frame, Bob said everybody got paid for it, the full amount.
Oh, okay.
So that's good to know. So it was trending up because we have learned, they put together a form to give to the evaluator, so they're making sure they're breaking out the competency evaluation separate, because if you were doing a competency eval right along with a sanity type eval, we weren't getting paid for those. But now they got formed. So anyways, I think you're gonna get paid $1,500 a pop for your competency evaluations going forward, as long as we're submitting.
See, that second eval on that gentleman was over 2,500.
So we got 1,500 of the 25?
Yeah. We haven't got it yet,
But it was approved.
it's been sent.
Good.
It's been sent in.
Oh, just sending, okay.
And we're running at maybe 2 a year max-ish?
Yeah,
3.
right.
So good, it sounds like it's doing what it was designed
I
to do.
think so,
Working
yeah.
well.
I was very surprised. Legislative council put together that's actually doing its function. Glad to be part of it.
First time for everything.
I guess, we can take formal action on this next week, but I'm leaning towards letting them have 2 years, try it. We can
I
always
do
do the
too.
other in 2 years. It seems still a little high, but I do like that there's 9 attorneys on it versus trying to fix those conflict cases on our own.
I kind of
And
agree.
we'll see how it operates.
The way we're currently budgeted, we got the 90 grand and the 675, so we're at $760,000 what we got budgeted for the two right now.
Well, 690 for the court appointed.
Well, I'm taking the total
Yeah.
budget as a whole, we got 675 as the court-appointed attorneys, and we got another 90 on the A&M, so that's basically $765,000 is what we're looking at our total budget.
That's what I was
But if we
saying.
go with the contracts, we could actually take the 90 and push it over to this, because they got the A&M in there.
And there's no way there'd be more conflicts than 9, right? With 9?
Well, but I think, well, even if we took the 90 off the A&M, we raised this 10,000 just to put go to 685 and take the 90 off this end, because we won't have an A&M clause anymore at that point, because it's in that 600.
See, and I don't know what the catastrophic pool is going to do. The more catastrophic cases there are, the higher the...
And I think
I'd
I
leave that
announced
alone.
that in system that there's a good chance that's gonna go up again this year based on
Right.
the history.
And
We
it
should
looks,
be having a clerk meeting coming up pretty soon again.
and it looks like you put another 10,000 in it already, so I think it's added a little bit.
Doug, you said 600, and then what was the other 75?
That's for the
expensive.
catastrophic pool, the professional fees, collection service,
Okay, so
supplies
you're
and
still
service.
gonna have the professional fees though?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Under this new contract?
Right.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And I'm thinking it probably just want to combine the two your first year to kind of get a feel of how that A&M's going to come out.
We have no way of tracking the A&M.
No.
If we do the contract.
If we do the contract. We will put something in the budget for A&Ms. We used to put 15,000 in it, but we took that away from the line item in court appointed. So it'd be the, even if we do, because under the contract, we can't file liens until they complete their paperwork. Where now, in order to get paid, they have to file their paperwork. So we see the documentation right away. And the A&Ns, they drag on forever. We still have some A&Ns out there from the first contracts.
So are you more comfortable putting just a little bit in this abuse
We'll have
neglect
to.
or zeroing it? Okay.
We'll have
throw-
to, in order to get, there's a fund on the state level that gives the counties some for A&Ms and court appointed. We have to have something in that budget in order to request that reimbursement.
And something else to think about, I just thought, is the court-appointed cases that are under the current list system where it's $94 an hour, carry over past the first of the year, you're still gonna be paying out of 19's budget. And that's not, I mean, that's an unknown, but that could be a pretty good chunk
Right.
of money, especially for the December appointments. Those are all going into January.
I think we
Most
just
of
leave it
November
at
probably
90.
will too.
I just
It's
think
been going
we-
up, $2 a year for quite a few years, because it wasn't that long ago, it was $90.
But you understand that if
Yeah,
somebody gets
yeah.
an appointment in November and the case isn't finished before the first of the year, they're carrying it over and getting paid hourly.
And likewise, in 2 years from now, what does this say? If they were appointed prior to January 1st in 2 years, they're under the contract already, and they have to finish it without more pay, right? I know we had that
This
fight
is
for
the
you.
contract,
Fight
but
last
it'll-
time.
last time the contract language was beneficial to us, yes. If they
Is
would
it
have to
again?
finish their- This isn't the contract, we have to...
But I mean-
It would be, yeah.
Don't forget that part.
And timely filing of their cases.
Their vouchers?
No see, under the contract,
What do you mean timely filing of their cases?
okay, under the contract, all we do is divide the total amount by the number of attorneys. And then we send them each a check monthly. So if they had 5 cases and finished 4 of them, there's no incentive for them to to get the judge to sign it and turn that paperwork into us so we can file a lien, because they've already got the money for it.
Yeah, I
In the
understand.
contract, and we put, upon the case being closed, paperwork has to be filed in 60 days. At least you're giving them a time frame.
Sure, as long as you have somebody...
Or
to track
I'd
it.
say,
I think a time frame's
I
necessary.
think 60 days is too long.
I think 30 days is plenty.
Well, I just threw that out there.
You need somebody to track it.
What we started doing under the contract, we get a copy of every appointment made by the courts. And then as we get the lien filed, then we take that out of the book.
So Max, you're thinking 30 days before the attorney, once the case is closed, to...
Yep, to file the paperwork with the auditor's
And just
office.
so everyone knows, there's going to be a million exceptions, because
Yeah,
30 days is your time to appeal. So they're
Oh,
going to say,
okay.
I didn't file it because I was waiting to see if my client wanted to appeal, because then if they appeal this contract, they have to continue on with that person.
So then if you go out
Some of them
45
might
days,
say-
you eliminate that one.
Yeah, you might want to use 60
Okay.
days. And some of them might say, well, I was waiting to see if they need me to represent them on a motion, for change of sentence, modification of sentence, they have 2 years to do that. But I think if you do 60 days, that should cover the majority of cases.
Okay, so we know we didn't change a big number on that one.
so are you changing anything?
I guess I would take the thoughts of, I think we're gonna save a very small amount, but I don't know if it's worth changing the budget like Dwayne said. I think we,
Not gonna be,
If we save money, then that's just money that goes back in the general fund.
yes, we'll start this for next year.
Because last year, it just worries me what we had to supplement last year, and there's a lot of unknowns with this. And I think that cushion doesn't hurt a thing.
It's such a small cushion too,
Oh, yeah,
when you
it's
think
not
about what it could be.
It's,
Yeah, it could be,
it might be
no.
70, 60 or $70,000, I'm guessing.
You might end up having another 100,000 that carries into next year.
That'd be nice.
Exactly. So that would eat up that $90,000 cushion pretty quick, I mean, and then some.
more good news?
I say just leave that.
Yeah, I think we leave it alone.
What it is.
I think I hate to say it, but let's wait a year. My thought is wait a year on the brand new vehicle for emergency management, I think.
I don't know.
Can we put it off one more year?
Like I said, you're dealing with the safety and welfare of your taxpayers, and if you want to cut those areas and save it and put money into an area that isn't dealing with their safety,
Where's
I think
that?
that's the wrong area to
Where
do
are we
it.
putting money that's not dealing with
Well,
safety?
you know, your safety is your sheriff's office,
Mhm.
the jail, your emergency management. Your solid waste is the safety, that's a convenience.
So are we still looking at upping? solid waste fund? Is that
Well,
what you're
we
saying?
need to restore, I have a problem with taking out that, like you suggested, for taking Mark's 500 for supervising that communication center
Mhm.
and that vehicle from emergency management. I think that needs to be put in there, kept in there, the original request. Once again, it's that safety issue and that extra person on staff. People get sick, people change their jobs, they quit,
That's right, because we had another dispatcher in there too, and
Yes.
new FTE.
and it seems like we have been down one or two, one time even three.
But we did add 2 this winter, didn't we?
Yeah, but they don't stay very long. It's a job that...
No, but I mean the FTE is
We
still there.
just got the 2 hires that we
Yeah.
had lost, so,
I really think you don't want, I would not vote for a budget that would cut those 2 areas.
We're not cutting them.
We're
We're adding.
reducing it.
We're adding.
No, I mean, for,
See, on the salmon sheet, after,
that was
I
showing cut.
lowered the communications, the 13,000.
Oh, yeah.
And the emergency management, the 52,000.
And I think that needs to be brought back to where it was on the first sheet we were given.
I agree.
I disagree. I've
Well-
forgotten we have another dispatcher in there too, that we left. Is that the only new FTE we put in? We got 1 in dispatch in this budget?
You have that one projected budget, but I think that's going to be solved with that moving things over, so...
What's that?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that new building will help that.
nobody wants to cut.
Well, the $13,000 to put it under the sheriff's name, and basically that's a formality. I don't know that Mark spends a lot of time there, but the $13,000 half is paid by the city, so you're looking at a $6,500.
Which isn't even worth talking about.
You know, you're talking $6,500 is what it's costing the county to leave it under the sheriff. Because the city pays half.
And I know Kent has spent in communication almost weekly, or if not oftener, with Mark on different issues, which is good. It's a training, it's a keeping everyone aware of all the safety areas.
and that's good. It
We
doesn't
need
take away
that.
his oversight.
We need to have that. There's too much of this drugs out there now that I hate to risk the people.
You know, I don't know officially how much time Mark spends with communication, if he's there 3 hours a week, or if he's not there at all. I mean, that's the unknown. I don't have any idea of knowing what
Kent
he's...
does quite a bit.
I don't have any idea what that number is. I mean, it's hard for me to make a determining factor if I don't know what somebody's doing in that department. I mean, I don't know if he's spending 5 hours a week there, or 15, or not at all. I mean, until you know that, I don't know that you can do anything with that budget. That's just the way I think.
I don't know that Mark comes over there as much as he comes there for consulting.
I think if you talk to the city, that's not the point of it. I think from all the old problems that were going on with not having an elected official do the oversight, I think the intention when this was all set into place, at least talking to the city side, including Ron Wager and all the people he's talked to, is that the extra payment to the sheriff is because he is the ultimate overseer of that department. I don't think it's because he spends an hour there or 10 hours there. I think it's because he needs somebody to be able to run it, so you don't have the problems you had with previous directors in the past, which I wasn't around for, but I know some of you were. I've heard that
It's a
multiple
fun
times.
time.
It's a control issue more than
Right,
anything.
and none of that would change. It's just where the stipend's coming from.
But and just so everyone knows, I'm not sure it's up to, actually I know it's not, in my opinion, up to the county to cut that. The city would have to.
Well,
be
they go by
involved.
our budget, and we brought it up at the last communication council meeting, and nobody had any pros or cons, and Mark was there when I brought it up.
And maybe I'm missing out on what you're saying, so you would cut that amount that's agreed to in the...
It's not in the actual
government review?
contract, it's just what this group put in the budget. In the communication council joint intergovernmental agreement with the city, it's not addressed how much or if there would be even a stipend.
Yeah.
It was just, at some point, I'm assuming they must have agreed on it here.
So what I'm saying is, I don't think the county commission decides how much that person's getting paid. I think it's a joint decision with the city, because they're the ones paying it. So if you bumped it up 20,000, are you gonna leave the city out of that decision? If you're gonna lower it 10,000, are you gonna leave the city out of that decision?
Right.
They're not
And I
gonna be
think-
happy, I can tell you that.
Right, and I think they just pay half of whatever the budget is.
Yeah, but I think that they're
They
gonna
didn't
wanna
have
stay
any
out.
input when the 13,000 was put on.
Well, then you could raise the budget 40,000, and they're just gonna be required
Well, and that's
to
why I
pay
don't
it.
think
I
it's
don't
fair.
think that's- I don't think that's
For
true.
them, in their mind,
So that needs, they need to address that.
and that's why I brought it up to the joint meeting.
So, back to where we find all this money.
Have we found much yet?
I've got a note here that, if you change the way the grounds maintenance at the granary to lower that museum budget 5,000,
Correct.
that's not reflected on the salmon sheet.
Now we're
Right.
cooking.
Is everybody okay with that?
So that was, if we'd have to take it over?
Yeah, or fairgrounds.
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 And she just sent an email to saying that their electric bill out at the granary is gonna be about half.
Yeah, they had some issues with
Issues.
things going longer,
Yeah.
or running full-time. Distracted.
So under the museum budget, you're lowering which one?
5,000, I think it was.
Yeah, it'll go down by 5,000. So it'll go from 421 to 416, 190. And the reason for that is Kurt's gonna have one of his full-time people go out once a week. And just his hourly wage, right now we're paying $570 per mowing. And so his employee will go out once a week and do the mowing. They'll purchase a mower bagger so that they can mow and bag it and haul it away. And we only lowered it 5 instead of 10. The anticipated savings after the first year is 10, but we wanted to leave enough in so they could buy the
Buy the
mower
mower,
Sure.
yeah.
for the first year. And then Kurt will take care of the maintenance and the upkeep on that mower just like they do theirs.
Sounds good.
The commission received a letter from Northeastern Mental Health, and I forgot to make your copies of it. You've been giving them the per capita, the $37,080, which I think is dictated by state law, but they want $45,000 for next year.
So our per capita hasn't raised then,
No,
since, we've been given 37 since I've been on here.
right.
I think we leave it at $37,080.
I would too.
Okay, and so
Yeah, me too.
I'll make you a copy of this letter, but I won't change the 36, or excuse me, 3780.
Yeah. She didn't, Susan didn't say anything about any per capita change.
No,
I was just wondering where she got her dollar amount. I mean, why let her now after all this years is what I was wondering.
Under maintenance, construction projects are more than double last year, and then there's notes in the bottom. Do we want to make any adjustments there?
so you haven't even looked at the maintenance budget, you skipped it the first time around.
Oh, we're looking at it.
Yeah,
Number 10. Yeah, the personal services are basically up just a little bit. That's pretty much in line with.
Yeah, and on the salmon sheet, that didn't get lower, we said take 200,000 off.
I don't know, we
Did
decided that at that point.
Oh,
I think
that's why
what
we
Max is
didn't,
saying
yeah.
is we kind of went over that part.
Yeah, we did, because I didn't see a difference here, so we must not have, we just talked about it.
you're just talking about it now.
Yeah, well, we talked about it last time too, because I wrote it down.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, if there's anything that,
I don't think there's anything that, if there was anything big there, I think taking 200 off would be a good way to start.
That still leaves 50,000
Yeah.
for any potential upgrades that we need to
Yeah.
do to the new building. I think 200, slash that by 200.
Yeah.
We'd be okay.
Then
The 250 was put in to remodel the new building.
Yeah, that's what we're saying,
Right.
taking 200 off of it.
Okay.
Actually, until the office is used, they don't need to do anything.
Right.
And people decide, I want this office, and they can spend a little bit to get it ready for them.
Kind of get feel of how we are now,
But
yeah.
I think,
the JDC Section F install air unit with fresh air. I don't know the details of that. Anybody else have any more clarification on that? That's another $243,000.
So, if you use the million for that 243 plus the 100 that we're gonna put in it, for the roof and everything.
Pardon me now?
The 243 for the air.
Yeah.
Can we use that 243 just to redo the million to save us some money over there, make free up room in the jail?
I don't know what Judy's thoughts are. I guess that's why I don't know what this air, I know it's an air exchanger down there, and I don't know exactly what it does, but, you know, is this a year, can we put it off one more year? I mean, is it mandated, is it going out, or, that's my thing, is I'm looking at, we're trying to cut this budget because we're in a little bit of a crunch, and I mean, if you're spending $300,000 for something that you were gonna do 5 years ago, can it wait one more year? I mean, that's where I'm going with it.
Yes, can we call Judy and ask her?
I got her.
Oh.
Hey Judy, got a minute? Can I put you on speaker, or are you close to the commission chambers? Okay, see you in a minute. Bye. She'll be right here.
And she can explain more what we want.
Yeah.
I mean, we know where we're heading. We're gonna be heading down the road of cutting the highway, and I hate to see it all come out of highway. I think there's other places we gotta be more uniform on. I mean, I'm sure everybody would agree with me, but
And just
that's
because it
the,
seems like only 2,000 here and 6,000 there,
Yeah.
you keep that in there, and then the next year builds on that.
Or you
know,
could take
you gotta take some out of
some from emergency.
where you can.
yeah, it's easy
Yeah.
not to take out that 2,000.
It makes a difference when you start adding it up.
well, that's why I said we're trying to trim down on what we're gonna get to there.
Hi Jude, thanks for coming. We have some questions, budget, we're working
Budget.
on that. Talk to us about the JDC air unit. Fresh air, 243,000. What is it, what's that?
Well, that's incorporating the women's and the JDC area to get a whole new unit for fresh air and everything. They don't have that now, and I could not hook them up when we remodeled the jail.
So they're without it now.
They don't have no fresh air or anything coming. They have air conditioning, but it's going to need to be taken care of at some point in time.
How long has that been going on? It's been like that forever?
JDC and the women's section, yep. And I would like to get fresh air in there.
Is that a unit you buy and put in, or is it venting, the ventilation system?
They would have to I mean, it's going to be like, kind of like just remodeling the ceiling all up in there. You're going to have to take it down and run the ductwork and all that kind of stuff to incorporate, because like the north and the south cells of JDC, they have their own little unit that's hanging in the hallway, so I'd like to incorporate it all into one and get them fresh air coming in there too, just like what we did to the jail.
Now, I guess if we were to do that, we're kind of in a little jam here with our budget. Is there a possibility that JDC could be changed in some way around within the county structure? I mean, I hate to spend $243,000 to know that we're going to maybe make a change down a year or something with Sheriff's Department, new building, Millen building. We got a lot of things out there that...
We can go like we are now.
Okay.
But that's something that's going to have to be addressed, even if we're going to, something changes, we're still going to have to get some fresh air into those cells and all that kind of stuff also. So,
You know, and I don't know for sure where that would go, but we've got some options with these buildings right now that I hate to
correct.
go that direction and find out, oh, we shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
And that'd be different, it would be $30,000, but it's $243,000, so I
Yep.
think that's a...
Yep.
That's significant.
And did somebody come in and locally and give you that guesstimate on that number?
No, I had asked for that, a cost-wise, kind of like when we were talking about the jail and that kind of stuff, and then they had came and said, well, there's no way we can tie these in with what we're doing.
Okay.
And I said, okay, throw me a price of what do you think it would do, and that was back then.
Gotcha.
And I knew that, you know, it's going to have to do a little bit of remodeling, so that's kind of why I put it up to 233. And you know, when you're looking at my budget, it's we almost need to have a discussion to decide what we're all going to do, because that's going to really affect the budget. I mean, my budget, even for snow removal and all that kind of stuff. You know, so.
Well, I don't think the two things that we're looking at budget is I don't think it will affect that much. What we were just talking earlier is that, like, remodel the First Street building, we're looking at dropping that down 200 grand and just 50 for the basics to get everybody in. But once we move in, and I guess, you know, that's kind of where we're at, and then the 243, that's probably the only thing that's probably going to affect your budget on that end of those things. And I realize you have the unknowns. You don't know when the boiler's going to go out or when air conditioning's going to go out. It's hard for us to mess with that part of your budget because we can't determine that. But these things, as far as what we can determine, like construction costs, you know, not that we're trying to slow you down any, but.
But, you know, I mean, you know, I've already put a lot of budget, or a lot of projects behind to cover for the security and stuff. And one other one is, you know, I need to get the jail cells painted at some point in time, you know, and that, so that's got to get done because I still have some red iron in there, and that needs to be painted too. So then I would want to do all the cells and have it all done, so. But, you know, I could give you a cost. I mean, I could say it's 80,000. I'm going to say 80 to 100,000, so, you know, I don't know.
Can we let the inmates paint their own cells? No? Okay.
No, it could be in there.
Makes sense, when you do nothing anyway, it's down there.
Been there, done that, just cleaning up.
What all does highway do for your highway reimbursement? Do they do snow?
Last year was the first year that they actually, because it's a new pavement out here with the museum, but they haul the snow away and that kind of stuff and do my other lots, like putting gravel down and stuff on the other lots.
That's why it was, that's why it's 105% spent.
Yeah.
I saw a negative on it.
Yep, because I never had the highway, I mean.
There was a little extra stuff there.
Yep.
Did we ever get any numbers from Sheriff's Office about shifting costs of women inmates, JDC, New Beginnings, if we were to do something? Is it just a cost, or is there savings to be had there? Have we not heard yet?
I haven't heard anything. I don't know.
Until we know that, I don't feel
actually, Mark
comfortable
and
putting
I-
that money into doing the air if we might move those folks anyway.
Well, that's kind of what I was at. So we're not trying to put you on the back burner of the project you want to do, but not knowing what's going to happen to JDC, I think we probably need to be a little careful. And even if regardless of what we put there, you're saying we're still going to need the air exchanger. Regardless of what happens over there at some point in time,
And that could be a reconstruction cost.
You need to get fresh air into JVC and into the women's section, yes.
So when they remodeled, it messed that up. They used to have it.
Never had it.
Never
Never had
it.
the fresh air.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to get in, is the
Gotcha.
fresh air exchange, because that's what we need.
That's how many years is out?
Yes.
well, I think this year.
I can actually, Mark and I walked around on Monday up over there, I can tell you that. I guess it's like, we almost have to get together and decide, you know, I guess you could call Mark over too, but I've kind of had the blueprints, and I kind of like, how I normally do is white out, and I added the walls that have changed in the building, and how it's laid out now. So, I mean, I could see how it works is, like, you have the trustee unit, but you're going to have to put in the trustee unit, you're going to have some showers put in and stuff, so there's some remodeling there too. and the bunks, and then, that goes to the lights, and then we'd have to have a fire alarm. I gotta have that put in.
You're talking the Mellon building now?
Mhm. Yep, for the, the trustee area there. Really, looking at the plans, and I don't know how they would all do JDC either, but it could work that you keep 24/7 over there, and they just have kind of like what, use the lobby now and use the office that they have now. So that leaves basically the welfare area and the garage area. And to remodel that garage area, you're going to have to get, if you go into cells and all that kind of stuff, and that's where I don't really know with how this secure, non-secure would work when we're actually, if you need more of a cost to, come up with how you're going to do it, because how do we know, like, down the road, we kind of have to make it so that if they ever go back to secure, that we can secure it by maybe changing some knobs, instead of suddenly, now we have to do a lot of reconstructing because now we're suddenly all back to secured, things like,
And I think that's, in my thoughts, I don't know how that'll all work out, but until we actually get situated with the building we bought and figure out where our
Yep.
plans are for that, I don't know that we can make plans on the other end, so I think we just have to kind of stay as we are now, and once we decide how that works over here, we can decide on the other
Right.
end down there
But I
when
mean,
it's
you're
going to
gonna have,
happen.
yeah, but you're gonna have some remodeling over there.
Yeah.
If you move the trustee unit over there, you'll have a lot of remodeling if you use the JDC. I mean, you could be looking at $2 million, because you're taking that garage over, and you have to close in all those windows, close in all those big doors. I mean, they're gonna need a garage to drive in, but then it's suddenly like, okay, are we building that garage floor up so that they can put all the ductwork and all the plumbing, in this void space? Because actually, we have three offices there now that they've actually built the floor up to make it level, flat with the rest of it. So there's, that, I guess if you guys need to go kind of, I'll certainly take you through the building too and kind of show you if that would help too.
Well, I think it all for now, just so you're aware of that, we did change your construction budget, just to the fact that Air Exchange has been years without it, and this is the year that we
Can do it.
can do it, and also the additional $200,000 to remodel that. I think that building with, $50,000, get people moved in, is going to be more than adequate for now, and there'll be, anytime you buy something to move into, you always have outside expenses you never see, but that $50,000 we're hoping would take care of that. And
Yep.
so, anything else for Judy? I think that,
No, those are the two I was wondering about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate all you do.
thanks, Judy.
Judy?
So there's $443,000.
48 if you count the museum.
That was easy.
Where do we go next?
You're 1/6 there.
Scratch it up.
You keep track of this? How close you getting, Max?
I don't see that $1 million.
Can we quit yet?
Go ahead, 448.
Did Derek come from? No, we tabled that.
Well, there's been a few others, you had 50,000 equalization.
That's already off.
Yeah, that's,
So,
Thanks.
okay.
Which one? Equalization, we already took the 50 off.
50 out of there.
Group insurance error.
we, those are corrected on the salmon sheet.
Yeah. But you're right, it's good we didn't go the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't do it until after the election. So we'll be discussing it.
I don't know that there's,
Take effect 19, is that one?
Yes. We only have two and a
We'll
half.
act on that on November 13th after the election.
Okay, think of this, how about if you did $1.5 million out of solid waste and $1 million out of highway, you're gonna have a lot of projects from highway if you do that.
well, your project on the highway, $1 million at $165,000 a mile for paving, you're not taking a lot of projects, you're probably taking one decent-sized project out, you know, it's not like when you take $1 million from a smaller entity, it involves a lot of projects, but, you know, highway, everything they do is so expensive, but I still just hate cutting highway.
So the budget at the highway, basically for the last 3 years, has been pretty darn even, you know, number 50 town. And, but, so if you take that, you're gonna hit them somewhere. And that's another safety issue too.
I hate to take that highway.
I do too, because it's not only safety, that's your work, whether it's commercial or farmer.
Well, I don't think there's any other budgets left to really pull anything out.
So if we take 1.5 out of solid waste and the 400 and some thousand we've saved, we're
That's
getting
2.
close to 2.
So take half the highway, like 500.
Well, we take 2 out of public, or 2 out of solid waste,
And then work with that.
and then work with that. Because that generates about 1.7.
And raise that fee.
And Max has been always
But
pretty
that's not-
conservative
Is that
on
generated even with the
guessing our
expenses?
surplus.
I think
Don't
that's
tell me this
before
year you weren't.
expenses, isn't it? Maybe I'm reading
One
that
thing to
wrong.
keep in mind, if you balance the budget now with cuts that you really didn't want to do, and early next year you determine that your surplus cash is better, you can always advertise a supplement for an extra project.
Like if we cut highway, we could put some back in,
If you have funds for
if
it.
the money's there.
Yeah, but realistically, what are the chances of that happening?
Not good with the fair right
Slim,
now.
well, slim to none with what our increases are for our employees, which I'm a firm believer you gotta give your employees raises, that alone absorbs anything that we get as far as growth
Right.
and a lot of cost price index, so,
Right.
I mean, for us
Well,
to ever
okay.
get over the hump, it just doesn't seem feasible. I mean, you
Right.
can look at all the things you want and try
You
to
have
cut.
you have to hope that I was over conservative on the estimated revenue.
And she has been in.
And you have to hope that your department heads are conscientious and don't spend it just because it's in the budget.
Right.
Amen.
And one of the problems of waiting till next year to see how our revenues are coming in, by that time it's too late to bid anything out for the highway, because you don't bid it out in the middle of the contractor's busy season, because you're gonna pay a premium price.
And that's why
I
we
mean,
need to keep the highway up.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
in June, we can't say, well, yeah, we got a little extra money, so we'll
I'm
bid
not
out that
talking
bridge.
June, I'm talking January.
Well,
Could even be.
by January, we really won't know whether our revenues are ahead or behind for
Yeah, you
for
will
the
for
whole year.
18.
Well, for 18 we will, but
Well,
we're working on 19
18.
budget.
But I'm talking about any carryover, any
Sure.
leftover for
Carryover
18.
money, yeah.
And you're
Right.
hoping there is.
Seems Max is really pretty conservative in
Yeah.
it.
Just so I have a clearer picture on the landfill when you mention it, I just want to make sure I understand it right. So how much of that 3.6 million for expenses till now to the end of the year is the actual sell?
I don't know, not
Any guesstimate?
No.
Because I just want to get a feel for how much does that actually generate in a normal year in that landfill fund?
So look at last year's budget, see that,
Okay,
and the revenue from last year.
Don't do that again.
I'm just
Oh, yeah,
looking at the
yeah,
second
yeah.
one because I don't
Yeah.
have my last year.
I get you, yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem taking some from the landfill, but is it a storm brewing because we're using it now and we're gonna need it later?
okay.
Well, I think so.
Your actual revenue in 16 was 2,211,000.
So that should be, we should be comfortable that we could do that.
Your actual revenue in 17 was 2,607,000.
Yeah. So you can take that 2.5 from
Okay,
there.
the 2,211,000 was in what, 16?
16.
What was the revenue just from the solid waste fees from the,
500 and some thousand.
Solid waste fees is roughly 500.
529 is projected at halfway, if I well, not, 7 months, if I take it for the full year, it'd be 529, 561, but, you know, that's saying everything's even. I just did an average of it.
Solid waste fees were 529,000.
Yeah, 561. That's projected for this year.
I'm just raising that.
And I think it's
That's
another 40.
Isn't gonna raise a heck of a lot, I'll raise some.
About another 40,000.
Well, I did it, like,
yes.
if I raised it like 7 cents, it'd probably come up with
And it might even be more than that, too.
40.
Can we do that resolution at any time, or do we have to do it?
No, I think there's a certain...
September, I think, Max said sometime in September.
Yep.
Was it September 1st? I can't
Prior to
remember.
the second Tuesday in September, you have to set these fees.
Okay,
Okay.
so we've got time.
Yeah.
At least now we have a list of those, maybe we can work with someone to see if we can get a little closer guesstimate based on the number of parcels and so on.
It's like 50 grand or so, $5.
Yeah.
You find any miracles in there?
I just-
Aye. It's so few without going nickel diming through every budget.
Did
And then some are
the
more
sheriff's
conservative.
department have any, what number are they at? Did they have any large,
19, somewhere in there.
any, jail and sheriff have any purchases as far as equipment that would be?
Only if I can get a little session at my
Can do, yeah.
They had a 70,000 on the sheriff. I'm assuming for vehicles.
He sent me a note, so, yeah, we'll get on there.
Guess we need to discuss this with Mike,
Oh,
how much we can take out of there and... not
It
damage
doesn't
anything.
specify, but it's under 70 down to the bottom.
So there's nothing really,
No. I think
the sheriff's budget isn't the one that really is out of
It's
whack from, it's 300,000, but there were a lot of people hired.
Does anybody have anything for exec? I know.
You?
I do have two things, and I have a meeting at 2:30.
Let's do it.
I didn't know if you're coming close to the end, if not, if you're
No,
coming close to
I'd
the
make
end,
a motion to go into executive session for the
second.
purposes of...
Contracts and proposed or pending litigation.
Motion by Kempley.
Second. Oh, good.
Second by Hanson to go into exec, all in favor?
Aye.
We are in exec.
Already had a meeting at 11.
We are out of exec, no action as a result. We can go back into our budget, looking at going out of the solid waste fund. Anybody have a problem if we were to put the highway at projected 9 million even, drop 662 from them and make their budget 9 and then go the rest out of the solid waste? I mean, I'm trying to split this up. We got maintenance, we got a little out of highway. You know, the other budgets, there just isn't enough to really...
I would be reluctant to do that myself, just because I just think we've made tremendous progress, and with Dirk's 5-year plan, you know, he needs some certainty, but that's just my thought.
And I agree with Dwayne on that. I'm looking at his budget all along, like I said, it's been steady.
I'm the last guy that wants to cut highway.
Yeah. I'd rather do it where there's a surplus than not have it out of the necessary.
But,
That's just my opinion. I mean, if
I just threw it out there, I just...
if it's absolutely necessary, I guess we...
yeah, that's
take
the
it
way
out.
I'd go with it.
I think if we take 2 out of solid waste, and with the
The other
close to
side.
$500,000 that we've saved with maintenance,
Go with it.
I think...
Can you make that work, Max? See how it works for your numbers?
Well, I'll plug them in.
Don't forget to change the communication.
See how we-
Yeah,
Okay?
I'll be back.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, so 2
I would-
million out of
I
landfill,
just
leave
make a motion
everybody
to
else
adjourn.
the same except
Okay.
Hang on one
museum,
Okay.
communications, and emergency management.
Communications stayed the same.
No?
No.
No,
Oh,
I
yeah,
gotta add
you changed
the
it
13.
again. Yeah, that's right.
Did you lower maintenance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maintenance, yeah, I forgot maintenance. I don't have
So that's 443.
Yeah, 43, yeah. and you got the museum 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I would
You're
entertain,
fun.
yeah, I would entertain a
We can
motion
take
to
it up
adjourn.
again next
Move
week,
it.
right?
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Sutton to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, we are adjourned.
I'll be back at 11.